All right, Eric, so this is the software that we use to run all of our printers here. It's called GrabCAD Print Pro. And the new feature in GrabCAD Print Pro that's going to allow us to develop this fixture for you is called Fixturemate. Fixturemate launches straight from GrabCAD Print Pro right here. So we're gonna launch that window open, and we're going to get a new design environment. So this is unique because previously in GrabCAD Print Pro, it was just for setting up builds and doing some minor manipulation of files, but things that you already had. What's awesome about Fixturemate is that we're actually going to be designing parts from scratch. So first thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to load in our workpiece, and you gave me those files already. So we're going to go ahead and import those. And once it loads it in, it's going to do a quick refinement process just to make sure that the files are a little bit more streamlined for the operations, and will speed up the process a little bit. All right, great. So once it's loaded in, we can go ahead and take a look at our part. And now, based on what you showed me, this actually gets assembled from the side. So the first thing we want to do is rotate this part into a position that's going to be a little bit more conducive for the assembly process. And then we're going to bring it down a little bit in the design environment. And that looks pretty good. Let's put it about right there. All right, great. So we have your part here in the design environment. The next thing we need to do is create some sort of base, some sort of platform for us to put our fixture on. We have a couple different ways that we can do that. The first one, we can do a printed base. So if we want to just 3D print the base with either a couple different shape styles, we can do that. And then our standoffs and supports will come out directly from the printed base. We can also use these perforated panels, or if you want to construct a metal or wooden panel, you have that ability too. I like to use these perforated panels. So let's go ahead and use one of those for this project. Once we open this up, it's going to ask for a couple specifics based on the size of the panel. Let's go ahead and input those. And then here we're also going to define the hole diameter of our mounting holes. And this is important for later when we're actually designing the mounting features. So we have 1/4 inch mounting holes. We're just going to add those in there. And then our pitch is 1/2 inch. So we have holes spaced 1/2 inch apart in both directions. So once we submit that, you'll notice that it will automatically generate that plate for us and drop it right into the design environment, which is really cool. All right, so the next thing we need to do is actually create the supports that are going to come up and contact the workpiece. So we have a few different support styles that we can do. We have rectangular, cylindrical, conical, and we can actually draw a custom shape if we have a more unique design. So let's go ahead and create a cylindrical support, and we'll do that right here at the top of the device. So we just want to click on the center, draw kind of that circle, and we can move this around to fit a little bit better. That looks pretty good. I'm going to rotate this to the side so we can kind of take a look at how high it's going to be. I want a little bit more engagement on the part, so we can go ahead and grab this and just pull it upward. That looks pretty good right there. And then the next thing that we're going to do is add another support. So we need to support the other side. Let's do a rectangular support. And let's just make this one on the back right here. All right, that looks good. And I want this to engage the part just as much as this one over here. To do that, I can easily just copy the height to this one, and it will automatically update, so now they're both at the exact same height, which looks great. All right, so the next thing that I need to do is create some sort of a mounting feature so that these supports can be bolted to our base. So to do that, I'm gonna go ahead and click on here and then do mounting. And now you'll notice that all of these holes that we created with our base become selectable with these little red circles. So I'm gonna select this one here, and let's do this one over here. So after we select those holes, we go ahead and hit finish. It's going to automatically use the hole diameter from our base parameters to create those mounting features. So that looks really good. We're going to do the same thing over here to this support. We'll select that hole and this hole, hit finish, and it will automatically put those mounting features in there. I'm looking at this part and I actually want to reduce the size of this a little bit. It doesn't really need to be that big. So what's cool is that at any point in time we can move and adjust the size of our supports. and you'll notice that the hole's going to stay in those positions. I'm actually going to move this hole a little bit over, so I can just click that and drag that, hit finish, and it will automatically update as we go, which is great. So the next thing I want to do is we need to actually remove the part from our supports. So if you look right now, the supports are just solid. We actually need to cut it away. And that's going to give us the ability to insert the part, and it will actually fix it in place and have the cutouts that match the contours of the geometry of our workpiece. So to do that, we go to this next step, and you'll notice that I'm just working one by one through the different steps on this sidebar over here through Fixturemate. So it really helps guide you through the entire fixture making process. So I'm going to click here, and we have a couple parameters. I'm just going to use the default parameters just for clearance between our workpiece and the support features. Hit subtract, and it will automatically difference out our workpiece and give us those contact features that we like. Turn this back on. So I'm looking at this, and this is a little bit taller than these need to be. So to save some material and time, I'm actually going to click on this, and you'll notice that at any point in time, I can always go back to previous steps in the process and make adjustments, and all of the changes that I made will automatically update with those new changes that were created on an earlier step. So for printing purposes and just time purposes, I'm actually going to reduce the height of these components so that we have less material usage and less printer time. So that looks really good. I like that. The next thing that we're going to do is we need a way to hold the workpiece in place. What's awesome about Fixturemate is that there is a library of clamping features, clamping components already built in. So we have a few of these Destaco clamps for vertical clamping and then horizontal clamping. We're going to use this one here, just the regular Destaco 202. So then what's going to ask me is, where do I want to clamp my workpiece? So I'm going to click right on the top right here, right in the center. And you'll notice that it just drops that clamp right into position. Now it's a little bit interfering over here, so we're just going to go ahead and click on this and rotate it a few degrees, and it will automatically update and put that in that position. I like that. It's a good spot. We do need to also add mounting features the same way that we did for our supports. Click that there, click that there, hit finish, and it will automatically update. That looks good. All right, so the next thing that we can do is we can actually add labels to our part. This is great for rev control and just kind of keeping track of what fixtures go with what. So very easily I can just hit set label, and we'll just call this fix 1, set the position, and just drag this on to the screen here. And it's gonna cut that label in very easily. I can come over here and we can change this to, instead of a debossed label, we can make it a embossed label where it actually comes off the surface a little bit. And we can change the size and the position of the label very easily. So in a true environment, I would go around and label each of these different components so that I would have my components all labeled right off the machine. So the next thing we can do is we actually have the ability to do some direct manipulation to the files that we have designed, these fixtures and these standoffs that we've designed. We have the ability to create different holes. So if we need access holes or drill holes, we can do screw holes with counterbores or countersinks, and pin holes for tapered pins, things like that. We also have the ability to put basic cutouts. We can cut boxes, spheres, and cylinders. These are great for removing extra material to really streamline the printing process, reduce the overall print time and material consumption. These spheres are great for doing things like finger access to remove parts out of the actual support structures. So I can show you what that looks like right here. If we wanted to put one here, we just click and it will automatically make that cut very easily for us, just right into the part right there. So now we have a nice easy access point there. We can always move this around later and update it so that we can make those changes. All right, so then the next thing that we can do is, depending on the print technology that we're using, we might want to actually hollow the inside of the parts out. This really helps reduce the material consumption, sometimes the print time. For a part that's printed on FDM, we wouldn't actually need to do this, but for a part that's printed on, let's say, an H350 with SAF technology, or even a Neo 450 or Neo 800, you would want to actually reduce the amount of material being consumed. So I can do that quickly. Let me go ahead and hide this by using this feature right here, which it's called Save Material. And by making this check and setting my parameters, we can automatically create a honeycomb structure from the bottom of our parts up to the underside of our offset surface. So this really reduces print time while maintaining strong part rigidity and accuracy. All right, so then the last thing that we need to do is we'll go to print fixture. We have a couple other options before that though, where we can export an assembly instruction PDF, just showing how this fixture goes together. We can save an assembly of STLs, and we can also save a fixture step file of the actual components that are created. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to print fixture. And this is going to take our parts that we designed and automatically port them over to GrabCAD Print Pro, where we can get them ready to send to the machine. Okay, so they sent over to GrabCAD Print Pro. We're gonna go ahead and close this out. Before we do that, we can save and close our session. And that way, at any point in time, I can always go back in, load in the session. Let's say I want to move the clamping location. We can always load it back in and update the positions of our various features. So notice it automatically dropped those right into my build platform for a Stratasys F370 CR. And then all I need to do from here is set my print parameters, send them to the printer, and we can get them off in a few hours. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and send this to the printer, Eric, and then once everything's printed out, if you wanna go ahead and leave those parts with us, I'll give you a call in a couple hours. You can come in and see the fixture that we just designed. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, Eric, so welcome back. It's been a couple hours since we designed the fixture. We went ahead and sent it to our printers and printed this out. And so now we've assembled it onto our perforated panel. As you'll notice, we have the clamp in place. And so all you have to do is take your part down, drop it into the fixture, clamp it in place, and you're good to go.
Very nice. I think this is definitely going to help with our assembly process.
Yeah, of course. And just to show you kind of what the different capabilities were, I also printed one using the printed base. So this also just kind of holds your part right there. So depending on what your specific needs are and what your current facility setup is, you really have a lot of flexibility with the type of fixtures you can create.
It's awesome. I definitely can see other uses for this around our facility.
Of course. All right, well, I hope this really streamlines your guys' process. I'd love to see these more on the market. And yeah, you have a great day, all right?
Thank you.